The Wellness Entrepreneur, episode 58.
Starting an online business can be a lonely ride, especially when you're trying to change the world one day at a time. But you're home now, in a place where inspiration flows thick and fast, and we arm you with the how-tos to get started, grow, and thrive in business. Welcome to the Wellness Entrepreneur Podcast with business coach and trainer, Katie Wyatt. The mission of the show is to simplify online business so you can focus on your mission rather than your marketing, because it doesn't have to be that hard. Let's leverage your time so you can have more impact and amplify your message. You are a change maker. We need you loud and clear. Wellness entrepreneurs. Passion can change the world and make good business.
Hello, my crazy friends who are building lounge room empires and getting some of their best education via the Humble Podcast. It's so good to have you back with me today. So many things going on. It's a wild and woolly one in Melbourne, which is totally unfair because it's spring. We're like over a month into spring. What is going on, Melbourne? But other things. So the relaunch and the rebrand of the podcast is coming at the start of November. We will be going to a weekly format, new name, new art, but still me and still you. So excited to stay in touch, and definitely you don't want to miss a thing. So the best thing you can do is subscribe to the podcast. And the second best thing you could do is join the Facebook group, bit.ly/start, grow, thrive, where things, did I say that right? Start, grow, thrive, where things will unfold. Now, I'd love to know who in my audience is a podcaster or wants to be a podcaster. Can you raise your hand? Seriously, I know that you can't raise your hand. Well, you can raise your hand, but I can't see it. But I'd love you to connect with me via social or email and let me know. I'm on Twitter at Katie T. Wyatt. I'm on Instagram at boss KT Wyatt. That's boss with a KT, letter K, letter T, Wyatt. That sounded way too confusing. Or you can just do it old school and email me at katie@katiewyatt.me. I'd love to hear if you are a podcaster or dreaming of being one. I'd just like to know, raise your hand. Let's get a show of hands, count some numbers. Now, let's get involved in today's interview. I'm so excited to share this episode with you. I interviewed Peta Shulman, who founded and runs Goodness Me Box. If you're in Australia, you may have come across the Goodness Me Box. It's a subscription box full of healthy goodies. And if you're outside Australia, I'm sure you have heard of the equivalent in your country. The whole wellness, health, subscription box model is alive and well. I probably actually haven't mentioned this on the podcast before, but I am obsessed with the subscription box model. If I could start a podcast about subscription boxes, I'd totally do it. I have coached lots of businesses doing this model. I've actually almost started my own multiple times. And honestly, if I don't start one before I leave this great earth, I'll be mega disappointed. I'm actually one of those annoying people who I knew subscription boxes were going to be massive before they were even a thing in Australia. I'm talking before, what's one of the biggest ones in Australia would be Bella Box, like the whole beauty boxes. Before that, I was like, this is a thing, this is going to be huge. And I did nothing about it. Hashtag beating myself up. Anyway, this show is not about my pipe dreams. This is about Peta, who actually built $1 million box company in her first year. Let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, Peta. So excited to have you on the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good. Very excited to be speaking to you.
I'm excited too. You don't know this about me, but I'm a little bit obsessed with subscription businesses. So I'm really,
Ah,
really pumped to chat to you. But look, before we jump in, why don't you just give us like what is Goodness Me Box? Tell us about your business.
yeah, sure. So Goodness Me Box is an online health food sampling box. So you go online, you sign up for $25 a month, and each month you will get up to 10 health food products or samples delivered to your door. It's all about discovering what's on the market. And we want to get people excited about eating well. So everything in there is reviewed by a health practitioner. All the products that you try are natural and GMO free. And at the end of the day, we're just there to help people make better food choices along the way. And for the brands that we work with, it's an awesome way for them to market and to get their products into the right hands.
Awesome. Okay, I can't wait to get stuck in. I have tried your box and it is gorgeous. So it's really
Oh, thank you.
fun to talk to the person behind it. So, what would you be doing right now if you weren't doing this interview?
Oh gosh, at the moment we're actually working on bringing out a bit of a new product. So I have been spending the morning doing a bit of research into that, working out guidelines that we need to follow as well. So yeah, I'd be working on that at the moment, and at the same time, I'm often also talking online to our web developers as well. So yeah, we're working on a few website changes at the moment. We've just launched a new site, so there's always things ongoing that we're going to be adding to it as well.
Brilliant. Oh, that's exciting. And so you started this business like you were pretty young, like mid 20s is, I can say this as a 30 something. Like it's pretty amazing. So I am really interested to know, like, is entrepreneurship something that, like, has it just always been in your blood? Has it been around you in your family? Like, what do you feel like it was about you that frankly gave you the balls to take this idea and run with it?
Yeah, this is a tough question. And actually, one of my friends asked me this the other week. Um, I started out in the public relations industry, and I started while I was at uni working at a few PR companies. But when I got into the health and wellness space in PR, I remember when I was interviewed that first day, I'd finished my university degree, and when I was being interviewed, I said I wanted to start my own PR agency. And that was from day one. And I'm not really sure why I had that in me or that particular desire. I think when you finish university, sometimes you don't always know exactly what you want to do as well. But it was just, I suppose, a gut feeling. My dad came from South Africa and, started his own business from the ground up in Australia. So I have had that influence, I suppose, growing up. But it's difficult to pinpoint what it is other than that gut feeling inside you that you wanted to do. And obviously over the years that evolved from, wanting to run a PR agency to, another kind of marketing route. But yeah, yeah.
Well, and look, let's talk about the actual business because it's it's not I imagine not the easiest thing to start. I mean, a lot of the people that will be listening to this podcast have service-based businesses, and the fact is, with a service, you can pretty much kind of just start without a lot of investment, whereas you're building an entire product. You need suppliers, you need boxes, all of that kind of jazz. So it's a bigger barrier to entry, I suppose, is the point. So I'd love to chat to you about a few of those things. So firstly, like in terms of when you knew that you wanted to sample, like have all these samples of health products, like how did you find reaching out to suppliers when you hadn't actually launched a business yet?
Yeah, sure. I suppose that's one of the toughest things to do in the beginning because you're approaching pitching someone with just an idea at that stage. And it's up to them to believe in your idea and to back you. And I think that is a big fear that a lot of people want to start a business might be, and to overcome that. But I suppose from my background working in PR and in the health and wellness space for 5 years, I had a really good understanding of the industry by that point, and a really good understanding and grasp on what brands needed as well to market their business better, and perhaps in a cost-effective way as well, which is what we offer. So when I went to them, it was something that you have to, do your pitch or your elevator pitch to get their attention. And it was something that I managed to do successfully, but it is definitely hard to go out there. But you've got to go to them with your vision and also show them how they're going to benefit at the end of the day. And you want to show them the upside to your idea and how, that they've really got nothing to lose at the end of the day by working with you.
And I think that, going for that win-win is kind of essential in any pitch, whether it's for something like what you're doing or just pitching to be on a podcast, whatever. I think that's a really, really important point. And so did you find that, was the Australian health and wellness industry, were they ready to be able to provide samples at the numbers that you needed, or was it almost kind of an education for the companies as well? What have you found?
It's definitely been an educational process for the companies as well. I think what we offer is, I always say, a new age marketing service. And when I started the business and I came up with the concept, it was something I noticed that was happening quite successfully in the beauty industry in Australia.
Yeah.
And then I started to do more research and noticed that this concept was actually successful already in the US. And I thought, if that's already proven successful there, I could feel that the wellness industry was growing at quite a rapid rate, and that it would be something that companies would be quite open to here in Australia eventually. So it can depend as well on, a brand's previous marketing experience as well. If they're more open to the idea, or if they can actually see the results that could take place. But now at this point, we have brands coming to us most of the time to work together. So I think that the value of our services has been shown and proven, and they understand how it works.
And I imagine that's sort of the tipping point that any sampling subscription box would be aiming for. At the start, you'd be having to do a lot of the convincing, but then once you get to a certain point, then the brands will be coming to you, and it will be a much more just, a collaborative relationship. So that's really, really cool. And so you grew really fast, and I imagine that there's a lot of different factors at play as to why you took off so quickly. Part of it probably, being you were the first of the kind of health and wellness type boxes on the market in Australia. But what do you think? Do you think it was more a product of good timing, or was it good marketing?
I think it was a mix of the two. I was very aware when I launched the business that I would have 3 months to make or break. If we didn't have a large customer base, if we didn't have a large following, brands wouldn't want to work with us. So I knew that I had a short period of time. And so with that in mind, when I went to market, I put everything I could into that first month of marketing. But at the same time, I do also think it was a timing thing for the industry. And as I mentioned before, being in public relations beforehand for the previous years, we used to, contact the media and pitch these amazing stories about, the benefits of whole foods and new studies that had come out, and these supplements that had a fantastic clinical trial behind them. And it was quite a hard sell to the media that those ideas behind food and wellness benefiting long-term health were not taken up so quickly. And I could see that shift in the media eventually taking those stories. So I knew that the timing was right as well.
That's brilliant. And if you like, do you ever look back and I mean, if you had to start again, like if this business you just decided I'm over this business, but I want to do another subscription box, like, do you think, is there
Yes.
anything you do really differently?
Yes, I think the biggest thing, particularly if you're an online business and you don't have a background in web development or IT or working in that space, a lot of people don't warn you the complexities that come with running, an online business, and our back end is quite complicated as well. So I would definitely look at getting someone on board earlier in the business who specializes in that area, because technology moves really quickly, and if you can't keep up, you get fallen behind. So yeah, that's something I would do differently looking back.
Yeah, right. And is that because just because of the complicated, like, is it the buying process or is it more like just your customer, like your CRM that you're needing to kind of build into your back end?
It's everything from, your shipping and fulfillment, your customer service. We have the ability to segment boxes according to dietary requirements. So there's a lot of filtering capabilities as well. There's a lot of work that goes in the back end, and as well complexities that come with having a subscription business model as well. It's not just a one-off purchase like a traditional shop. So in saying that, we've spent the last few months developing a new site so that we can improve our services, we can give the customer experience that we really want to be able to provide. And it's something that's taken a lot of work to get to this point. And the other thing was, because the business grew quite quickly, the initial website that we had wasn't built to take the numbers that happened quite soon after.
Yeah, okay. And when you talked about giving yourself that 3 months sort of time to build to the point where the brands were coming to you rather than the other way around, like what sort of numbers were you aiming for? Like what did you feel, and was it a gut feel or was it an educated guess about the sorts of subscription numbers you'd need before people would start paying attention?
That's a really difficult call to make. I suppose I don't have a definite answer to that. I was hoping for a few hundred to feel quite comfortable. But yeah, what happened exceeded those numbers, and we were in a really good position, within the first 6 months.
And when you got to that point and you knew, okay, I need to bring on support, what was the first role that you hired?
The first role I hired, it was after 3 weeks of running the business, and
Wow.
customer service was getting really busy. So I actually ended up first hiring a virtual assistant to manage customer service. And it was more out of convenience that I could, speak to them and work together. But at the same time, I wanted to keep customer service very personal. So we'd still stay in regular contact throughout the day. But that lasted for about 2 months, I think, from memory, and followed by getting on board someone to assist with the marketing side of the business as well.
Okay. And would you, like when you launched, because I've seen other subscription boxes coming into the market that have done a lot of work to, say, build the social media following first and almost be pre-teasing the launch of the box. Is that the approach you took, or did you kind of go live with everything at once?
I would always say to businesses, no matter what industry you're in, if you're working on your business, start your social profiles, start developing a following and interest. And it creates suspense and excitement for what's about to be released. And, you know, that's advice that I remember hearing from the team at Style Runner when I went to one of their talks. I think it was 2 years ago after I'd just launched. So I think that's really important. But when I launched the business, social media, of course, was a focus, and I noticed how powerful influencers were becoming as opposed to just traditional media. But the plan at the time was there was a real mix of marketing activities going on, and not solely social media.
And I have heard you talk about actually partnering with influencers as a way to get the word out before. And I know that the first way I was introduced to your box was actually at a Well and You breakfast, and Well and You have been on the podcast. Have you used those types of brand collaborations a lot in the kind of first early days of the business?
Yeah, we did work with a lot of social media profiles and influencers in the early days. One of the things we've always sort of held our ground with is that we don't like to pay for any kind of posting. We want everything to be genuine and organic. And I think what has been achieved really nicely is that our Goodness Me Box customers are genuine advocates for the product and, you know, the experience when they receive the box, and having that kind of word of mouth is really powerful, and not just for us but for the products that are in the box as well.
Yeah. Okay. And like, would you say that that's been like, if you could only have one marketing strategy in your toolkit, which of course is completely unrealistic, but if you could, what's the one you reckon you couldn't live without?
Oh, that's really interesting. Oh, I would say that referrals from your customers is really important. As I just said, it's genuine, and when your family and friends tell you about something, you really do sit up and pay attention. So I think that's really important.
And do you do anything in particular to encourage referrals, or is it you just let the box kind of do the work?
Previously, the product was kind of doing that organically, but we are on the new site about to launch a few new tools that'll put that in place.
Okay, fantastic. And how do you feel? I mean, you must have, you since you've launched, and it's been just over 2 years from memory. So you must have noticed, like, even the subscription box industry in Australia has changed. There's probably more health and wellness boxes out on the market. Like, what do you think of the state of the industry? Like, do you think if somebody was listening to this thinking, I really want to do something like that, do you think there's still room? Do you think there's still demand? Or are we at the limit and now the boxes will kind of start competing for the same space?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of new brands to market, which is always a good thing. It shows what you're doing is working, and competition always helps you continue to innovate. I think, there's definitely still space in the market. If you look at the US, they've got a subscription box for everything. There's for hiking, there's for underwear, there's for razor blades, so I think Australia is not as familiar with the subscription model, and it's something that is becoming more and more accepted, how it works. We receive a lot of questions. How does it work? Will it automatically renew? Am I going to get another box next month? So it's also an education process. But there's definitely still room in the market.
It's been so interesting because I've been kind of following. I just think that it's incredibly interesting. I've been following it I was working out this morning, like 12 years when I first became aware of the business model and particularly the box model. And I agree. Like, I think Australia's getting more mature or knowledgeable about what the subscription boxes are. But yeah, I still think there's a lot of growth to happen in this space. I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are looking for convenience as well. So, and that's exactly what the business model provides. It's delivered right to your door. So it's designed to make everything easy.
Yeah, and there's that surprise element that I think, there's so few surprises in life anymore, so it's nice to have that
Yes,
too.
it's true. Yeah, definitely that surprise and delight factor.
Yeah, and so look, I mean, you're really building an empire here, Peter, and it's just so exciting to hear the story and to kind of watch it unfold. But I'd love to know, like, there's days I think when we feel like we're rocking our empires, and there's days when we just feel like it's all too much, it's not going to work, and we want to throw the toys out of the pram. Like on those days, what are your
Yes.
go-to strategies to kind of get yourself back in the game?
Yeah, I really like that you've asked that, because I think so many people in business, tell about the good side, and often, the bad side sort of, pushed to the corners. So, yeah, on those days, they do happen. You do have your ups and downs. For me, I've got a really supportive network of family and friends around me, and I speak to them to lift me up, and also to my team as well. I've got the most positive, optimistic team, and they've got complete faith in the business, which I think is so important, to have everyone to be on the same page. So speaking to them as well is also on those days something that lifts me up, and they're there to offer another solution, another direction, or another way to do something. And I think that's really helpful, having the right people there as well.
Yeah, beautiful. I think, we can't, business is like, takes a village to raise a business, doesn't it? You got to have your support crew around you.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's important to recognize that you can't be good at everything as well. So it's knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, and having those people in place around you who are able to give you that expertise and that knowledge in those areas when you do feel in the dark about certain things.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much. You are amazing, and I congratulate you on all the success you've had so far, and all the success I know that the Goodness Me box will have. How can people connect if they want to get a box or learn more about the business? Where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, sure. So our website is the best place to go find out a bit more about us. It's goodnessmebox.com. And for inspiration as well, we share a lot of recipes and what's going on each month on our Instagram page, which is just at goodnessmebox, which is all one word.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful feed, definitely. Thank you, Peter. It's been a joy. Have a happy, happy day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How much do you love Peter's story? I hope that you enjoyed that interview. So many pearls of wisdom in there. Particularly love Peter's. I mean, you've really got to have some cojones to start a subscription box, because so much of it is about getting products from people for free when you've got nothing to show for it. It's a bit like how I felt when I first started the podcast and I was trying to get people to come on my show when I didn't have a show. But I love how she said, if you invest that time convincing people at the start, then eventually brands will be approaching you. And that's when you hit the sweet spot. And I also love when she said, she talked about, having referrals from your customers is so important and genuine. This applies whether you have a product-based business or a service-based business, okay? That word of mouth, there is no better marketing tool. So definitely, if you haven't done much to foster word of mouth, even getting testimonials from your clients and customers, definitely put that on the to-do list to do before 2016 closes its doors. Otherwise, I'm so excited to be back with you in a fortnight, and soon I'll be saying I'll be back with you next week. Have an awesome one, and I'll talk to you soon.